What's up, everybody? This is Gogi from Go On Great Immortal and Madam Mayhem, and you're watching Good Company with Scott Boland.
Good company!
Hey guys, my name's Scott Boland, and you're watching Good Company. Today we have Gogi. Gogi's a guitar player of Madam Mayhem. Gogi, man, thank you for being here, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Dude, man, I love this Madam Mayhem band. It seems like you guys are like an all-star group or something. You know, I saw Billy Gray.
Yep.
Is he the other guitar player?
He was the other guitar player. Love Billy to death. He's just an unbelievable guitar player. But Billy's super busy with the Fozzy stuff.
Yeah, he's got a million bands.
And Madam Mayhem is a machine that just keeps rolling. So we have a guy, Tom McNamara. That's playing with us right now, and he's just an absolute shredder. He comes from a heavier background of music and whatnot, and he's just been great. We love Billy to death, and things were great. We had a great time with him on a bunch of shows, but that Fozzy train is taking off.
So
and it's doing really well. So
absolutely.
So
when you play with Billy, you play guitar. Do you play lead and he plays rhythm? Like, how does that go? Do you guys switch back and forth?
If it's a really super cool lead, Billy plays it.
Nice.
We would swap off on a couple places here and there, but for the most part, especially with this, with some of the newer stuff, I think we do a little bit more switching off with me and Tom. Oh. But back in some of those early recordings with Madam Mayhem, she had Bumblefoot was on there, and wow. she had some monster guitar players on there, and look, man, I love guitar, but I don't do that.
Yeah, that's a good.
So it's like, Billy, you take that one.
Oh, okay.
I'll be over here playing my chords and learning how to play guitar again. But
I was gonna ask you about that because you have so many good players in this band. How do you guys get all this awesome players together? I mean, is this kind of you guys are just friends with all these people?
So we went to NAMM. Remember what year it was, 2016, 2015, somewhere. We went to NAMM. Corey Lowry, who is the center of everybody meeting everybody.
Yes.
I was there with him and a couple other people, and he introduced me to May. May got offered a tour to go out with Mushroom Head, and she was still trying to get people together for the band, so Corey brought in Ryan Bennett, who was in I Empire,
yes.
Billy Gray, who he knew, and then he called me up and said, "Hey, what do you think about going on tour?" And I was like, I haven't thought about it. Let me.
Yeah.
let's.
That's kind of a tough drop everything.
Because I was just. I assume we'll get into that at some point, but I was just in a different spot at that point, and I had not even thought about it, and I was supposed to meet my wife for lunch that day, and I met up with her, and I said, so Corey called, and she said, oh yeah, what do you have to say? And I said, he asked me if I wanted to go on tour, and she just looked at me with the biggest smile, and she said, are you going to do it? And I'm like, Jesus, you don't even know what it is yet. You kind of but she was super supportive, and she was like, look, here's the deal. You're going to go out there, and you're going to, because I had kind of done the music thing for so long, and when you do it for a while, the business, the people, the work, the everything, at some point kind of wears you down, where you just kind of feel like you want to crawl into your own hole and just focus on music again, and not the business and everything else. And so that's where I was at the time that Corey called me. And it was really my wife that said, look, you do what you want to do, but my take on this is if you don't go out there and see what this is like, you're going to regret it.
Yeah.
If you go out there and you're miserable, then you know you're done. If you go out there and love it, then you know that's where you're supposed to be. You have to go, in my opinion, but you do what you want to do.
That's amazing support.
She's unbelievable. She's a music lover. We met at one.
That's great.
We met at one of my shows. So
yeah, I wish my wife would be like, Corey?
You want your wife to be like, leave.
Yeah, leave. It can be anybody.
I could go, please, anywhere. I don't care. Join the circus. It's fine. So yeah, that's kind of what got the ball rolling, is that Corey called and we met up. We did, I think, 1 or 2 rehearsals, and then we were.
You guys are pro
on the road.
That's good.
Well,
If you got a call from Corey,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that first show.
Was it here?
No, it was good
In Atlanta, or was it?
No, it was. That first one was. We did rehearsals in New York, and then the first show I want to say was in. I think it was in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
In Ohio, we played. That was the first show. I think it was Mushroom Head's big hometown send off.
Wow. So before Madam Mayhem, going back, How long have you been playing guitar, man? Were you like
I started
born with a guitar?
No, no, not at all. I watched a lot of TV, and I didn't have a whole lot going on. And
like MTV and stuff?
Just when we got it, finally, when we got
yeah.
MTV. And my mom pretty much got tired of me watching TV all the time. And so the next thing I knew, I was literally sitting in school, and somebody walked in with a PV guitar case and set it down and said, "This is for Gogi." And I was like, oh, there's got to be a mistake here. I had no idea what it was. Come to find out that my mom and my sister had conspired, I guess, and tried to figure out what can we get him to do because he's not doing anything other than watching TV. And my sister was like, I got this guy that I go to school with, because she was in high school at the time. She said, I got this guy that I go to school with that gives guitar lessons. Why don't we get him guitar? Mm-hmm. Never consulted with me, never asked me anything. My mom's probably regretted it ever since. And so from that point on, I was like, whatever, this just seems like work. And then I ended up taking lessons from her friend that she went to, a guy named Max Watson. And he basically taught me how to teach myself, like how to listen to CDs and how to like pick out the notes and how to start playing on my own. And when I could finally first play a song for the first time, that's when I was like, something just happened.
Okay.
And that was, I knew that I wanted to do something, and it just built and built.
How
and
old
built.
were you, man?
I started when I was 10.
10.
I think I was, 10 or 11. And
do you remember the first song?
Yeah. Yes, I do, Scott. Thank you for asking. Next question. It was actually Nothing But a Good Time by Poison.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I grew up it was a difficult time, all right? Don't judge me for...
Dude, I like
everybody's
Poison when I
like,
was a
Smoke
kid.
on the Water, some Zeppelin, and whatever. It was Poison, Nothing But a Good Time. That's
that
real
intro
talk.
is good. Yeah, that's awesome.
No shame.
Do you like Poison now?
I have not listened to Poison. I could not tell you in the longest time. I probably like some of it, to be honest with you. I don't... People talk about those guilty pleasures they have. I don't have any. I like music.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I'm
like
saying?
that too, yeah.
I can't believe you listen to that. It's so lame, and I'm just like, cool. That's fine. I like it.
But there's got to be some kind of level of that's really guilty pleasure. Like you liking Wilson Phillips, like it's like there's got to be some
no,
kind
I don't
of
like Wilson Phillips. That's not a guilty pleasure. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know why I just said that.
I started liking things lately because my daughter likes things that I could not stand, but now I have to kind of like it because just watching her sing it, it's just like, okay, I kind of like it a little bit now.
Oh, same
You
here.
kind of hope that song comes on so that you can see her do it.
Yeah,
But if you're driving down the road and it comes on, it's just like, no, I don't like that song. It's not my thing.
Yeah. So when you were in high school, did you have any high school bands and stuff?
I did.
What were your high school bands?
I had one high school band, and we did 90s alternative covers, and we were called Plaid. Pladd.
Super 90s.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
super 90s. We wore the flannel, and we did all of it, man. And
Did you play Poison? Like
no, it was strictly alternative. None of the other guys. You know what? This is over. I will not be mocked for my Poison. No, none of the other guys were really big fans of the Poison. And by that point, that's not really what I was listening. When 90s music hit, something changed. Alice in Chains. First time I heard Alice in Chains, it was game over. That was it.
Me too.
That was it. It was just. I saw that Man in the Box video, and I was slightly terrified and completely intrigued. And I was like, I got to know more about this band. And I went out and bought the CD literally the next day. And I've just been a diehard ever since.
Were you into, with Dear Enemy, and we'll talk about Dear Enemy, the heavier band, were you into heavier bands too in the 90s? Because there was a lot of great, like Pantera and stuff.
Yeah, Pantera was a big one. I actually, my first concert was Skid Row, and Pantera opened.
Oh, yeah.
And again, the very next day, they were touring on Vulgar Display of Power, and the very next day I bought Vulgar Display of Power, because I grew up in small town South Carolina, so we weren't fully exposed to a lot of different music, so when you did get it, you kind of craved it real. So that's when you start digging a little bit more, and I actually got Cowboys from Hell after I got Vulgar Display.
So Vulgar, sure,
because I started going down the rabbit hole with things, and yeah, I was definitely into heavier music. I think everybody goes to this point where they're just kind of figuring music out and what they like, what they don't like, and then there's a pivotal point where things start to kind of really resonate. And I think in the 90s is when like lyrics just felt a little bit more real. They weren't our party, and music started to resonate more because it was more minor and it was more just heavier, and kind of it just resonated with me more because some of us think differently, you know, and some of us have some stuff. And so some of that stuff resonates when you hear the heavier music. and grunge music and the heavier music, and that kind of bled in from that point on.
Really?
Yeah.
What, did you write lyrics too? I mean, were you just playing guitar? I mean, were you singing at all?
I was like, we don't like the band that I was in high school. We didn't do anything other than covers, so there was really no originals. But I was writing, and I'm not gonna, whether it was good or not, it was really. That was at the point that I realized that music was kind of more of it seemed like kind of a drastic way to describe it, but it was more of a survival tool at that point. Like it wasn't, I wasn't the guy that ever had dreams of being a rock star or of, necessarily being famous or anything like that. I needed to play music for a living so that I could survive. It was really more of a, this is what's keeping me going. This is the only thing I feel like I can relate to, whether it's either something I'm listening to or as a result of that something I'm writing, or like it's just something music related was causing me to feel like this is the only way you're going to make it.
Yeah, wow, that's huge.
So it wasn't, I needed to make music work so that I could work.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why my drive to like make anything happen was super important to me, because there's a lot of people out there that deal with a lot of just messed up stuff, and everybody's looking for the thing that's going to work. And I truly feel like I felt like the thing that could work for me early on, but I just spent a long time figuring out how to work it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I knew this was the avenue, now figure out how to use the avenue.
Wow.
Kind of thing. So yeah, that's and it hit in the 90s with the more of the minor stuff, the more real lyrics, the more heavier stuff. I could just relate to it way more. It made more sense to me.
Did you so after high school, the band you were in, you guys just kind of vanished?
Yeah, there was no one had any bones about doing anything with that. Would say it was just, this is fun to play music in high school, and everybody's going to go their separate ways after that.
So from there, after school, and you have Dear Enemy, what did you have anything between Dear Enemy, or is it?
There was a band called I moved to Atlanta, and I tried to do some stuff here and there, but I got caught up in got to pay the bills, waiting tables, bartending, doing all that kind of stuff, and it kind of pulled me away, and I was like, something's got to change. Things just got bad for a second, and I was like, one day it just kind of hit me. It was like, the one thing that's missing right now that you haven't done in forever is pick up your guitar and play music. That's why everything is going south. So you pick up the guitar again, and then you start to get that drive of like, I need to put a band together. I need to do something. So just started meeting people around town and trying to get involved in the music scene and whatnot. And so I eventually ended up, there's a band called Wastegate.
Yeah, I remember them.
Wastegate. So
I got like some demos. They used to hand out stuff at shows.
Yeah,
I still have that.
Yeah, and so when we decided we wanted to do something, we were just.
That's your band.
That's
Wastegate.
Yeah.
Hey, when we get done, I'll show you, man. I still have it.
I
still have some of the stuff.
So you're the one.
Yeah, I'm the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, like I said, growing up in small town South Carolina, there's a lot you don't know and a lot that you're not exposed to. So when you move to Atlanta and you try to start a band, you bring in that lot of don't know. And as a result, you make a lot of mistakes and screw up a lot. And I really, I enjoyed my time with that band, and I think I learned a lot in that band about, for me personally, what not to do. About what not to do with promotion, what not to do with songs, what not to do with, because like with any band, we kind of progressed a little bit in the way, but I learned in my mind, like, what is it that you want to do with this? How do you want to move forward and like actually do something with it? Because this isn't it. This isn't going to happen. In some instances, like what people are willing to put the commitment into it. In other instances, don't do this from a business standpoint. You screwed that up completely. Just a lot of lessons in that band, and we had a good time. We did a couple of things. I don't know that a ton of people would know who we are outside of the scene, but it was definitely a great learning experience.
Yeah, that's something you take away.
And it laid the groundwork for me personally to make Dear Enemy a thing. And Dear Enemy was a thing.
Yeah. So Dear Enemy starts, in the mid-2000s kind of, or where did that?
Dear Enemy, so interesting thing about literally all of my bands, the day the old one disbanded was the same day the new one started.
Wow.
So when Wastegate decided Wastegate wasn't going to be in a band anymore, we started writing for Dear Enemy in the same rehearsal space literally that day.
You and your friends? You had some
Yeah,
side...
we had a couple guys that one guy in particular that just he was just in a spot in life where he couldn't do it anymore, and it was just like, I really been kind of want to change the direction of things and seeing where we can go with that. And so we literally started working on the new project that day, which eventually there were some member changes and whatnot, but eventually became Dear Enemy. And so on down the line, same thing with Via Saiva, and literally they happened the same day. So
Maybe that's the thing.
Dear Enemy started in 2005.
Okay.
We had a handful of songs that we wrote, and we did a demo at Arsis Productions in Cumming, and it was all us, and we were doing something different, and we'd gotten this other singer that I'd known for a little while from another band that was in the scene, and it was just different, man. Like, it was different for me personally, and I could just tell that the songwriting was better. Like,
Was it?
Yeah, and it was still demos and whatnot, but you could just tell from the way people were reacting to it that it was just better. And by that point, I had made some pretty good relationships in the Atlanta music scene.
Yeah.
That we got our first show booked, and it was with Nonpoint at the Masquerade.
Oh, I was probably there.
Yeah. And so that was the one that was just like, I think we got something here, fellas. I think it's going pretty good. So yeah, it was a good time.
Did you guys, when you played that show with Nonpoint, did you guys have any material recorded at the time, or was this before you went to the studio?
I think yes, we did. I had it's interesting. I had so there was some friends of ours in a band called Subject to Change. Yeah. And at that, they played I think, what was it called? Downtown Rocks in Atlanta, I think. It was like 20,000 people or whatever. So Ryan Bennett, one of my best friends, Ryan Bennett, played guitar in that band and eventually became the guitarist in Dear Enemy. And so at that festival, he was like, we want you to come out on stage and announce us on the stage. And I said, cool. I'm going to have all my guys come out. We're going to be passing out Dear Enemy demos everywhere when we do that. And so that's what we did. We got in free to Downtown Rocks. It may have been a free thing anyway, I don't know. And we just passed out like 2,000 CDs at that one. So that was kind of the same thing. So there was a little bit of talk already by the time the Nonpoint show had happened.
Oh, yeah.
And which was really cool because it's great to be like the no-name band and to get up there and there's people like just throwing down, and it's
that's amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish that was a good feeling.
Yeah,
Man.
that's a very good feeling.
So your first Dear Enemy album, the Divine Sessions, right here.
So our first actual release recording was called the 2005 demo. This is, we had another drummer called Devin, and we had another guitar player called Ed.
Okay.
And these are all the songs that they were involved in. And so we just called it the Divine Sessions, Devin, Ed. These are all the songs that they were involved with. They did the 2005 demo, and they did, there's 2 or 3 other songs on this one. But this was the songs that, I used to have a nonprofit in Atlanta called Local Love Loud. And we used to bring like local bands together and put on events, stuff to raise money for different charities around Atlanta. And so we decided to put on an event, along with my friend Jason Gates at the Dark Side, we decided to put on an event that was basically bringing the whole local music scene together and just kind of say, this is how we can promote together, this is how we can do better for all of our bands, let's make something happen. And at that event, Corey Lowry was one of the speakers.
Cool, yeah.
And so it was at that event that Corey Lowry got the 2005 demo. My friend Jason Gates talked to him, said, hey, you need to check out this band, they're doing some good stuff, and that's when Walking Past Yesterday happened.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that. So Corey was a part of this?
Corey, this was the first album we recorded with Corey. And so we were over at Jeff Wood's house.
Oh, Jemmer.
Yeah, we recorded the whole thing at Jeff Wood's house, and we did this a 5-song
cool.
EP, and Corey came in and did pre-production. Clint came in and did a little bit of pre-production with us as well.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And
that's got to be huge for you, man. I mean,
it was great,
unreal.
man. It was honestly at that point it was kind of like, it was the first time I really felt like it feels like something's happening right now. Like for the first time, like you just fight and try to make things happen. And when this process happened, it was like this was the first time it really felt like something's happening. Don't screw this up, you know. And we couldn't be more proud of that EP. Like that EP, and this is this is still during the MySpace days, and that EP and MySpace is what built Dear Enemy's fan base, like almost like that.
Wow.
That's the thing that did it for us, and we went out and did some shows on that, toured on that for a little while, and then that was 2005, later in 2005, and then in 2008. We released Believe the Rumors, which was that.
Oh, right here. Yeah.
Walking Past Yesterday was the EP.
Okay.
And Believe the Rumors was the full-length album, also produced by Corey Lowry.
Nice.
Did
Clint help on that too?
There's an acoustic track on the end of it called This Is My Goodbye, and Clint came in and played a little bit of guitar on that one. And this one was just a big... We wanted to do anything and everything on this one. We wanted to do a full-length album. We wanted to release a DVD with it. We wanted to do bigger tours and go on tour longer with this one. We wanted to do everything with this album. So we actually released this on September 27th, 2008. And then on September 29th, 2008, we started the first date of the Seven Dust Tour.
Oh, okay.
And we
What
went on
album
Seven
was
Dust.
Seven Dust working on by the time? I mean, that's a weird question.
It was Clint's first album back.
Oh, okay. Okay, yes. Cold Day Memory.
Was
Yeah.
it Cold Day Memory?
Well, that you talking
No,
about?
no. It wasn't the first album back. I think it was his first tour
Oh,
back.
okay.
First tour back.
Yeah,
It
I'm
was
sorry.
before he'd gone in the studio. I think it was his first tour back.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Hope and Sorrow, right?
Hope and Sorrow.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we went out on that tour, and that was with Seven Dust and Taproot.
Yes, that's cool.
So that tour wrapped up, and shortly after that, Phil from Taproot called me up and said, "Hey, we're going out on a headliner run. Do you guys want to go?" And so I went and talked to the guys, and we looked over finances and everything, and we're like, "It's gonna be a tough one, but this is what we said we wanted to do." so we went out, and we rocked it. And those guys treated us great. Seven Dust guys always have treated us great. Taproot treated us great. And it was just, man, those are some really, really, really good times. And just with my guys, and it was literally, we had no crew, no anything. It was just the five of us. We were drivers. I
was going to ask you, van or bus?
Van and trailer. Van and trailer. We drove it. We slept in the bus. We maybe got a hotel room about once every week and a half to take showers. Otherwise, we were doing truck stop showers and brushing our teeth. And it sounds miserable, and there were times that it definitely was, but it was also like you really find out a lot about yourself and your crew, like your band, when you go out there and do that. And with the exception of a couple of minor incidents, like we had an absolute blast, and I feel super blessed to have gone out with those particular guys.
Yeah.
Because they just made it what it was. They made it great. And it's Dear Enemy is my heart and soul.
Yeah.
I absolutely cherish my time with that band, because it was everything to me. It was, they were great guys. I really loved the music. I was really proud of everything we had done, and it was just a really good time. Really good time.
I wonder if you guys should ever bring it back, or is that ever possible?
I don't think that's going to happen. It's one of those things where everybody's just kind of like off doing their own things, and everybody's got their own businesses, honestly. And maybe a couple are able to do it, and then the others are just really kind of. Ben, I know Ben is good. Mm-hmm. Like the bass player, he's good. He's good with his life. He's done with the music thing.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, he hasn't played. I don't even think he owns anything anymore.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
That's amazing to me when people do that.
Yeah, he just when he was done, he was done. And
yeah,
better to do that when you know you're done than to hold on to it and drive it into the ground and hate music forever. You know what I mean? Because this business will make you do that if you let it. And he was just like, I think I'm good. We did one show. We had recorded one more EP in late 2009 that came out in 2010. We'd recorded one more EP, and we did one show in July of 2010, and that was our last show.
Okay, is this album right here?
Yeah, that was that one. Words of the Wicked. That's probably the angriest album. It's an EP, mm-hmm. And a lot of us were going through a lot of stuff, and we're like, we just want to make the meanest, evilest, get it out record that we can, and so that's what that one was. I'm proud of that EP, but it's difficult to listen to. Honestly, it's like it's one of those that's just like, I remember what I was going through when that happened. And a couple other guys have said the same thing. It's like, yeah, man, I can't listen to that one. It's not because we don't like it. It's because we just can't. Mm-hmm.
Were you single at the time, living on your own? I mean, where was your?
No, I had been married since 2008, and this one came out in 2010.
Oh.
And there was some tough stuff related, marriage related, that it was just like, we got to get this figured out, or everything's going to come crashing down. So that was during that time. That's not something I would have normally talked about in the past, but now looking back on it, I think it's important for people to understand that, yeah, it gets bad sometimes, especially in the music business with relationships and people having to deal with everything that goes on with it. But I'm still with my wife, and everything's amazing right now. So
would you ever back then I almost want you guys to like document that? That would probably been out of the question then. Like, this is the hardest record. What if we had cameras going and show it? Like, would you ever want to watch?
No.
I guess that was too dark.
No.
I was thinking Metallica.
I feel pretty confident speaking for the other guys saying no. That's probably not a good idea. It's just, honestly, it's one of those things where we knew things were bad individually. We were all going through our own different stuff, but it wouldn't have even been a thing where we could have thought about filming it because we were so just.
Yeah, it's a silly question, but man,
because it was one of those things where it's like, this record's been out for so and so long. We got to put something out. So even the pressure of having to put out new material was making us angry. Like, we have to go do something. You got to come up with the money for it. You got to do it, and that also was Corey Lowry.
I was gonna ask you, yeah.
Yep.
So
that was Corey. That was just Corey and us, and that was.
Did Corey kind of coach you along, like, you help you?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, all roads in some way, shape, or form, with the exception of a few, lead back to Corey. Just because I think initially I ended up calling him and asking him, hey, will you work with my band? And we want to do this and this and this and this. And then it just turned into a friendship. And along the way, it turned into every so often Corey would call me up and say, hey, can you come in and help me out with this? Or, hey, do you want to come in and track on this? Or do you want to work with me with this band? Or, and so that one was one of those things where I just called him and said, we got to put something out. We got to do something. And everybody was kind of angry at the time and going through stuff. And so he was like, all right, let's make an angry record.
And so after this angry record, this is the final Dear Enemy album, right?
Yeah. So Words of the Wicked came out in 2010, and then July 2010 we had our last show, and that was it. This is Evermore. This one I recorded in my dining room. After a few years, we had decided that we just wanted to get together and do a show. But in true Dear Enemy fashion, you can't just do a show. You got to do more than that. You got to do other stuff. So we were like, why don't we just put together an EP? And I was like, I got this recording stuff because I had made the decision. Actually, let me rephrase that. That happened after Via Saiva happened.
Okay.
I'm jumping around now.
No.
Because now I'm trying to remember how things went. But that record came out in 2013. We did a show on New Year's Eve 2013, and with the ticket, we were going to give away that EP. But the recordings of that one was just us. Let's do it however we want to do it. Let's record the songs we want to record. Let's write the way we want to write. We can record it at my house. It doesn't have to be 1,000% perfect. We don't want to just come out with a show. We want to come out with some music too. So let's give the people something. We shot a promo video for it. We went out in this field and we shot a promo video for it. Had a couple friends come and help out with it.
Did you edit this all yourself?
Yeah.
I know you do that.
Yeah, I shot and edited that whole thing. And then that was the promo for it. We got great feedback, had a great turnout at that show, and that was pretty much the end of Dear Enemy. Our good friend Johnny B, John Ballard, came in and played bass on that EP, and because Ben was done. So,
yeah.
So he came in and played bass on that one and came out and played the show, and Ben came to the show.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, so he came out and supported, and it was just
that's different.
true family vibe all across the board. So, so it was very, very cool.
So this is the other project you're working on. You got two of them.
Yeah, so Via Saiva, Dear Enemy ended, and the same day Via Saiva started. So Dear Enemy had played several shows up in the North Carolina area with a band called New Era Project, which is Dustin Lowry, Corey and Clint's younger brother. Yep. We'd always gotten along great. Our singer and bass player from Dear Enemy basically left that meeting saying, we can't do this anymore. And so me and Alex we kind of looked at each other and said, are you done? I was like, I'm not done. I was like, okay, what are we going to do? And Alex looked at me and said, let's call Dustin, see what he's doing. I don't think he's doing anything. Corey's studio happened to be down the hall at the time. So we walked down to Corey's studio and said, "What's Dustin up to right now?" He was like, "Let's call him right now. Let's see what happens." So we called him up, and he showed up I think 2 weekends later.
Wow.
We had a few demos, and he came and sang on those demos, and we're like, "I think we got something."
Dude, I had no idea. That's so cool. So Dustin's singing on this.
That's all Dustin. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So we went out on tour on that one with a band called Daybreak Embrace, and everything was great. We had a lot of steam going for us, a lot of really cool stuff in the works on that one. And then we were leaving out for our second tour, and Alex was driving and said, "Something doesn't feel right. We got to go back." And it was the transmission, and we were all tapped out at that point. We just didn't have what we needed to make it work. And it kind of just fizzled. Unfortunately, I'm super proud of that album, but it kind of just fizzled at that point. And then the next one, we called this one Coalition. This one was, these were the songs that we were writing for the next album. And I thought they were great songs, and I wanted to do something with them. So I took these songs with the guys' permission and said, "Hey, do you mind if I finish them?" And I sent them to them. And actually Alex and Johnny B, the bass player, came in. Alex is a drummer, Johnny B is a bass player. They came in and they actually retracked drums and bass.
I was going to ask you that. Okay. So.
And then the vocals were pretty much already done because Dustin had already tracked vocals. And so that's what that is. I just felt like they should see the light of day, so I finished them and we put it out. And that's all that was.
And so it fizzled out.
Yeah.
And then, so if you don't mind talking about this guy right here, Troy.
That is Troy Poozer. He is my best friend since grade school. We pretty much started playing guitar at the same time, and we were super tight, and we kind of would, same like best friends do, you kind of go through a bunch of different stuff, and then you kind of lose some time with each other, and then you get back together, and you just kind of meet back at different points in your life, and it's like nothing ever, you didn't miss anything. So he came to visit one weekend, and he was done with his band. He was finished with it, and he said, "I want to work on my own stuff." And it's like, "Why don't you just come and just visit, and we'll see what happens." So we worked on one particular song of his, and he was just, he'd never been through the process kind of that way, and he was just floored by it. He's like, "Man, would you be interested in doing an album?" I said, "Of course, I would love to do an album." And then, unfortunately, he was out jogging, he had a heart condition, and he passed. He just dropped. And but during that same weekend, he was kind of frustrated for how long the process was taking to actually put a song together. That in the middle of it, he said, "Do you mind if I," and looking back on it, it's kind of crazy that it happened the way that it did. He said, "Do you mind if I just track these other songs, just guitar and vocals, just to get them down, just so that I have documentation of them?" And I was like, "All right, we'll take a break and you can do that." And at the time, I was aggravated. I was like, "You don't stop a song and start working on it again. It's not how this goes."
Yeah.
And looking back on it, had that not happened, that wouldn't have happened.
So he did a full album of just his vocals and guitars?
His vocals, guitar, he just wanted to track it. I begged him to do it to a click, and he wouldn't do it. And I spent a lot of time
yeah, I bet.
cutting things up to make sure. So
that's amazing.
As an honor to him, he always wanted to release an album of his own music, and so as an honor to him, I orchestrated all the music behind that. I put it all to a grid, put it all to a click, and I finished his album for him. Man. And so there's still a few CDs left at troypoozermusic.com, and all of the proceeds from that, every bit of the proceeds of the sale of that CD go to his nieces and nephews' college funds.
Wow.
So I'm sending all that money to them.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So that was a tough project, but it's I'm glad I got to do it for him, and I'm proud that I think he'd be okay with it. I think he'd be all right.
When you guys finished with this project, I mean, were you reaching out to his family? I mean, this must like
yeah. So at the funeral, actually, his parents were gracious enough to give me 2 of his guitars to do that record. So all the guitars that were recorded were his guitars that he played, and those have since been returned to his parents because it's just. His mom said, "Do you mind if I get those back?" And I was like, "No." It's like, of course, I'll bring them with me when we come visit next time. So,
it's amazing, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, like, great family, great kids, and I'm just glad we were able to kind of bring his dream. He always wanted to release his own music, and so I'm glad we we talked about it a lot. It just never happened. I'm glad we actually made it out.
So people still can buy a copy, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a handful of them left, like a handful of them left.
Okay, so from here, this is your solo thing, right?
That is my solo thing.
Go on, Great Immortal.
Go on, Great Immortal. So, the funny thing about that is at the end of Via Saiva, when the van died and it just seemed like everything was falling apart, I was like, I'm done with this, man. I can't, when a band starts the same day the other one ends, like it's just nonstop and you get burnt out and you're like, I'm sick of people and I'm sick of the business and I'm sick of everything. Like, I don't even like music anymore. And I wanted to get back to enjoying music. Like, I didn't really listen to it that much. I wanted to get back to enjoying music again. So I was like, you've got the recording gear, it doesn't have to be the most perfect whatever. Why don't you just start working on an album and see what you come up with? And over the next 3 to 4 years, it was just a self-loathing siege of writing an album by yourself is really hard.
Who's playing all these instruments?
It's all me.
Dude, you're good at everything.
No. Like the big joke, I have drummer friends around town. I tell them like, man, I'm not like a great drummer, but I'm a mean MIDI drummer.
Yeah, you're good, man.
I can get close and then I can nudge those notes where they need to go.
That's amazing, dude. I mean, you edit, you play every instrument. I mean, bands should that's amazing.
A lot of this stuff was just out of necessity. I just think I just had like I'm a very like, if something needs to be done, get it done kind of thing. And that's sometimes that's good, and other times it's like you're getting it done, but are you really paying attention to how it should be done? And this was for 3 to 4 years let's just
3 or 4 years.
You're kind of digging deep about a lot of stuff, and there's stuff, if there's like dirt sitting at the bottom of the water and it hasn't been touched for a while, it's just kind of hanging out there, and then you start working on that and you're grabbing a stick and you're just starting to stir it up a little bit, and all this stuff is coming up and showing itself in the water, and it's that's what a lot of that was. And when you kind of already have like some confidence issues with things, it's one of those things where it's like, this sucks, this isn't going to work, this isn't working, and you start singing on it. You're like, oh my God, my voice is the worst, I can't do this. And then I hit a whatever point where I was just like, man, just do the record. And all that 3-4 years, I think out of all the songs, there must have been 50, 60 songs, somewhere around there. I think I used one. And then that last 3 months was the rest of that album. Something just triggered with me. It was just like, you're thinking too much about what people are going to think or how it's going to, and so I got to the point where I'm just like, look.
It's a breakthrough.
Yeah, for better or for worse, this is me. It's called Flawed for a reason. There's nothing perfect about that record. There's nothing perfect about me. There's nothing perfect about my situation. There's nothing perfect about the recording. I didn't play every instrument perfect. And I wanted it to be kind of going back full circle to that whole 90s. You listen to a lot of those 90s albums, there's a lot of imperfections in them because they were recorded real.
I love it.
Yeah. And they were, everything wasn't gridded out and made perfect like it was. And so I wanted to make it a point I want my record to be flawed. I want it to be like that. I want it to have that kind of raw, still a little bit of production, but I want it to have like I want it to be as honest as I can humanly possibly make it. And and so that's what that is. I just admitted that I gridded out the drums on it. So, but you can listen to it. Even the drums, like when I'm playing the drums, there's some stuff in there.
It sounds good.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I like the first track on there when you're kind of introducing who you are. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, I felt like if you're gonna do this, be honest about it, and so I just kind of jumped in with both feet on that first track. It's called High, and it kind of lays it out and says, look, this is who I am. I probably drink too much. I'm not getting it right all the time, and this is what you get.
Yeah, it's almost what you tell your wife too. You're like, hey, this is me.
That's if I am nothing else, I am me, man. that's for better or for worse. That's what this is.
How'd you come up with the title? It's unique. It's different.
Go on, Great Immortal.
Yeah,
that's funny. I had gotten to a point where I just didn't know if I wanted to do music anymore, and if I had, like, it just wasn't bringing me joy and whatnot. And I had this thought in my head that whether you do music or not, it's going to go on. Music to me is the great immortal. It fixes everything for everybody, and whether you're going to do it or not, it's still going to be there. When we all go, the music is still going to be there. You can hear rhythms. Just standing outside, you can hear rhythms in water and leaves and trees, and like music is always going to be there. So I just kind of, to me, it was a statement of, with or without me, go on, Great Immortal. Like, just go on, music. And I swear to God, I tell this all the time to people, and they don't believe me, but like it's like 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm putting some files in a folder on my computer, and I didn't want to type out "Go on, Great Immortal," and so I abbreviated it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it spells out Gogi.
Ah.
And I didn't see.
No way.
See, and I swear to God, it did not dawn on me until that point. And I just looked up, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. How did you not see that this entire time? It's true. I had no idea
great.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So now I'll see people just that have had the album for as long as it's been out, and they're like, dude, it just hit me. It's Gogi. And I'm like, I didn't do that on purpose, I swear.
Oh, man. That's cool.
But that's what it is.
Are you going to do another one?
I'm actively working on it. I'm just about through my self-loathing process on this one, I think. I've started it over 3 times, just like I did that one. It's just, it's a tough one, man. It's tough to really kind of self-reflect and start, especially when you swore to yourself you'd be completely honest and just put it out there. And so I'm actively working on it now, but it's some of it is finding the time to do it, and other times it's finding the strength to do it. Because sometimes you get to working on stuff and you're like, it's just not today. Today's not the day. I don't think I should talk about this today.
Would you ever use this and open up for the band you're in now? Like play twice in one night? Maybe go on Great Immortal open for.
I don't know. I've had a few friends that said, "Hey, man, let's take that out. Let's do something with it." And I love the idea of it. I stress out at the idea of being, because that's the antithesis of what that was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this was supposed to be for me. I don't care who likes it. I hope that you like it. If you do like it, tell a friend. If you don't like it, tell an enemy. That's what it was for me. It wasn't. It had nothing to do with business. It had nothing to do with promoters. It had nothing to do with anything. It was just strictly music. So now, if I were to say, okay, let's go out and play some shows, now business is coming in, and it's like the antithesis of what that is. So I don't know. I'm always open-minded about that stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to take that away from me personally. People may listen to it and be like, God, that album is awful. That's cool. I don't,
No pressure.
It was for me. I don't buy it. Definitely don't buy it.
Yeah.
But,
and people want to hear it. It's on streaming services, right?
It's on streaming services, and we have, I think I have 11 hard copies left. So I was actually really, really surprised and shocked at how many sold when it first came out. I was blown away because I've always considered myself kind of a nobody in that sense. Like, the group will do something, but me as a person, like I was blown away that anybody would even care. And I've got 11 left.
That's awesome.
So it's, and the streaming is going great. I've got, something like 60,000 streams on the YouTube video.
Wow.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? That blows my mind. Like, it's not a massive number in the grand scheme of the music business, but for a guy that is just a guy, I'll take it. I'm super proud of that.
Yeah. Okay, so Madam Mayhem, this album is awesome. I've seen you guys open for Seven Dust. Yep. Seven Dust played a couple, like 2 or 3 days in a row around New Year's. Yep. And your singer, when she sang that song with Seven Dust, though, it was so good. I can't remember the name of it now. Lickin' Cream. Yeah. That's amazing, man. Getting on that.
Yeah, so she actually went to University of Miami. She is trained. Her voice is phenomenal. And she is a hard worker. She had a couple albums out before this one. I met May through Corey Lowry at NAMM. I think NAMM 2016.
I gotta go to these NAMM shows, man. Next time you go, I want to go, man.
It's cool, man. It's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Is it?
Yeah, there's just tons of people, and it's just sensory overload. But it's cool. You definitely get to see a lot of people and get to see all the new products that are coming out, and everything is super cool. So I was hanging out with Corey, and he introduced me to her because he was working on actually this album. And I think Billy Sheehan is like a mentor of hers.
Oh, he's
and so
cool.
I think between Billy and Corey and everything, I think Billy had done the album prior to this one, but Corey had done 2 songs on that album. So they had worked it out to where he was going to do this album. So on that previous album that Billy had done, she had gotten an opportunity to go on tour with Mushroomhead, but she didn't have a full band put together. The previous tour that she had done was a different set, and so we met at NAMM, and then few months later, Corey called me up and said, "Do you want to go on tour? You remember that girl that I introduced you to?" So I was like, "Yeah, okay." And so we went out on that tour, and that was in May of 2016, and I've been with her ever since.
Are you guys gonna be recording anytime soon? I mean,
writing is happening now. She actually was just in town a couple weeks ago, and me and her and Corey were working on something. She's written with a few people, and so like it's the building blocks are kind of being put together, and recording should be happening relatively soon.
Now, does she let you? Do you write with her as well, or is it you just?
So by the time I jumped on board with this project, that album was already out, and this album was pretty much done. So this is Corey and Clint worked with her on this one. So this next album, the band has got a little bit more,
that's
more
cool.
going into it because we've been with her for a while now. So
well, she sounds great. Man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, she's a powerhouse. And she's a hard worker.
Is she?
Hard worker, yeah. She's every single day, all day. It's just like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do?
Oh yeah, that's great. So there's like before we finish here, there's two things I want to bring up real fast. I just remembered is I remember when Clint Lowry was doing a solo thing, and you played live with him, right?
He did the Hello Demons, Meet Skeletons.
Yeah, he did. Well, no, before. Yes.
And
that's it.
Yeah.
And he played in Athens, I think.
He played in Three Bears Tavern.
That's where it was. I was there, and you were there.
Three Bears Cafe in Marietta.
That's where I was at.
That was his first show, and I played that one with him.
That's amazing. You got to play with him, man.
Yeah. It's Clint.
LeJean was there. I remember he was in the crowd.
Yeah. We played the next show in St. Pete in Tampa, and actually LJ and John got up on stage and did Angel Sun.
I thought LeJean did it at the other place.
He didn't do it at Three Bears.
Oh no, Corey did.
Corey did.
Yeah,
Corey did Christmas Day. Corey did LJ's part in Christmas
Okay.
Day. Yeah. Man, that was a great night, and that was
It's such an honor, man, to get
to be
on stage with you.
And I mean, again, man, Corey called me up, said, "Hey."
Anytime Corey calls you, it's good. Just never ignore that phone call.
I gotta, I mean,
it's
like a broken
important.
record saying his name, but there's a lot of stuff that's kind of happened
with this show too.
Yeah, and so I'm super thankful, man. Like I've been really blessed to do a lot of really cool stuff, probably far beyond what I really thought I was able to do. Back in the day when I was really gunning for this. And every day we talk about playing a show with Madame Mayhem, I'm just like, if you ain't having fun, you're doing it wrong. Like, you don't have to be out here. And that's my thing is especially like when I was in bands and I was fighting to make things happen, and I started to lose my joy of music because I was getting too focused on what to do and how to make the business work for you and all that kind of stuff. It was really important to me to get to a point, and had that first tour not gone right with May, I would have just been out because I would not have wanted anything to steal my joy of music again. But I'm at a point now where I don't have to play music; I get to play music, and that's super important to me. That it's just, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it anymore. I'll go crawl in my hole, and I'll do my self-loathing thing, and I'll make the next Go On Great Immortal record, and I'll just do that. But there's such a great group of people in this band, and they just got good hearts and good drive, and she's the captain of the ship, man. She just tries to make everything happen as best as she possibly can, and she makes you want to fight for her.
That's great.
And so that's why I'm still in this project, is because it's fun, the people are great, and she has the drive that I need to be in a project with. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be in a project where it's like, yeah, I wish we could do this, but it's not happening. She goes and makes it happen, and she makes you want to make it happen for her. And so it's, I feel very blessed to be a part of all of these projects, and just to be able to play music at all. It's a blessing. It really is.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it. This is awesome.
Hey,
all you guys are awesome.
I'm looking forward to this new album, man. This is gonna be great. I need to get her on the show, May.
She'll be coming back down to do some more writing. I'll let her know, and I'll get her out here.
I'd love to have her on.
Okay, for sure.
But thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one, bro.
All right, man.
Thank
Take
you.
care.